Just throw it away.
Frisbee it.
I love Frisbee.
Kia ora guys, welcome back to this week's episode of the Wholesome Half Hour. I'm Mackenzie.
I'm Sarah and Kira.
And on this episode, actually, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. So for anyone that didn't hear about it, recently over the past weekend, or is it 2 weeks when this will be released?
2 weeks.
2 weeks after this is being released, Study Time had the absolute privilege and honour to be a part of the Wellington Climate Challenge conference that was recently held at Vic. And it was really cool. It was a cool time. We got to meet a bunch of you guys, talk to you about what you think about climate change and how that relates to your education. And we got to run a couple workshops and stuff like that. And yeah, it was really cool. And I know you're going to be making a video off the bat.
Oh yeah, there'll be. We went around, asked some people some questions, and yeah, we'll video of that.
Yeah.
Probably this week when you get this.
Yeah. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. But something that we discussed in our workshops that we held was this idea of there's always a plan B, and how often students struggle with these expectations that at a very young age they need to have their lives figured out, essentially. Yeah. And I know that I felt that in NCEA. I remember the first time that teachers said, you know, you have to pick your subjects for level 1, and these dictate the subjects that you can take at level 2, and these dictate the subjects that you can take at level 3, and these dictate what you can do at university. And I was like, I'm 15, I shouldn't be making these kind of decisions.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pressure that a lot of us feel, but we're not often told that that's not true. It's so not true. And so I think on this week's episode, what we wanted to really talk about is, you know, having a plan years in advance, and that if you do, it's okay, but if you don't, that's also completely okay as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you definitely get that vibe in high school. That,
yeah.
Like, you need to know what you want to study, and like, And
when I was at, sorry to interrupt, but like when I was at high school, I didn't even know, you don't even scratch the surface of what you could study at university.
Oh, no,
people know law, people know med, people know like commerce, people know like engineering, psychology, like, but there is so much more to it than that. And I think I personally, this is again personal belief, I personally believe high schools do universities a real disservice in this regard. I don't think they allow students to explore their options enough, and I don't think they advertise it in a way that makes students feel comfortable in the decisions that they're making. I think too much pressure is put on it. But yeah, there is so much to it that you can look at, and you can do a multitude of different things and end up in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what did you did you feel that much at high school? Or?
Yeah, no, I don't. It's weird. It's weird to think about because when you're coming 4 years out of high school, you start to kind of see year by in no single year did my entire life change, but year by year you sort of see your beliefs from that high school place shift slowly until, and then you look at it kind of 3 or 4 years later and you've seen it's shifted quite a lot. But yeah, when I was in high school, definitely thought got to study something that's going to get me into a job that'll set up a career. In that time I changed what I'm studying. I've essentially changed the idea of what I want. I've completely changed what I want to do. I don't want to work a 9-to-5 job next year, even though I'll be graduating. And
honestly, couldn't think of anything worse than a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
For me personally, I know some people enjoy that, and I know that works for a lot of people. But for me personally, I just could not think of anything worse.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, and yeah, definitely. Doesn't expose you to anything outside your textbook job, and it's interesting. Actually, I was having a discussion with this about this with my parents. People like to put labels on jobs, and you have a title, whatever. But it's actually, when you properly understand what you do, it's actually really hard. So you could call me a video producer. I make videos, yeah. But I when you say that to someone who doesn't understand what it involves to make videos and doesn't understand the workplace that I work in and stuff, like, it doesn't actually mean very much.
No.
It doesn't, like, fully encompass everything that you do.
No. Explaining my job to someone is just hellish, honestly.
Yeah.
It's such a nightmare.
Yeah. And heaps of jobs are like that, but skill doesn't really, that kind of stuff doesn't really, that aspect isn't touched on, and it doesn't really come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think,
arguably because it's, I don't know, it's not an easy thing to describe. Also, teaching is definitely more complicated than, like, being a teacher is more complicated than, like, again, that the title would imply. But isn't as complicated as a lot of other jobs in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, we're constantly told.
As in, like, the people telling you, like, may not, some of them might, but may not fully understand the range of possibilities out there.
I don't know, I just think that there is so much out there, and high school doesn't really expose students to that very much. And that's why, partially, I think, why later on down the track, students do change. But changing is also absolutely fine, and changing what you want to study, changing your beliefs, changing all that kind of stuff is good. You need to, take actions that align with what you want to do. And if that's the best thing for that situation, then that's what you have to do. But I think, I just can't help but feel as though we're encouraged that we still live in such a mechanical society. And so what I mean by that is there's like terminology of a mechanical versus an organic society. And so over the past, I don't know, like 30 years or so, maybe a bit longer, we've really transitioned from being a mechanical society to a more organic society. And so what I mean by that is that think about your parents or your grandparents and what they've done. In a mechanical society, there isn't a lot of opportunity for change, there isn't a lot of opportunity for growth. And so that's the kind of society that's set up to allow people to stay in the same job for their entire lives. And that was the norm, and that was encouraged. But in today's society, that's just not what it is. And I think that's also not very well advertised to a lot of students these days as well, is this day and age, like, the chances of you staying in the same job or even the same role with a different company for like an extended period of time is just very slim. Like, people change around and move around and switch roles and use their skills to fulfill different roles. And that is sort of what's meant by an organic society, is that it's not fixed. It's not so this is this and this is this. And for some people that's really liberating, and I think for a lot it could probably be perceived as really scary because you can't anticipate that. And that's something that a lot of people really do struggle with. But it does encourage this idea of planned happenstance. And so what planned happenstance is studying what you like, doing what you're interested in, taking actions that align with your beliefs, and opportunities will arise as a result of that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. So, like, nothing in life is just like pure luck, as in, like, you just fall into doing something.
No.
But it's like, wait.
Okay, sorry.
Wait. But what ends up, essentially, I think that, like, life is made out of a lot of throughout your life, like, there'll be many points where opportunities present themselves.
Yes.
And you have to be in a position where you are able to maximize those opportunities or leverage them at all.
Yes.
So, like, you can't just, like, wait around and wait for something to hit. But provided you're, like, you're working on, like, a particular skill or something, you don't necessarily have to have the full path worked out. Like, if you're, like, so, like for me, like, I was, like, mucking around with, like, making videos in high school, but I, like, started to learn some of the skills, and then, like, an opportunity to do that and, like, get paid to do that came along.
Yeah.
If I didn't know what I was doing already, I would have been able to leverage that opportunity well.
Yes.
So,
but that opportunity only presented itself because you...
only presented itself by chance.
Yeah.
And I was only able to leverage that because I had...
Yes.
I was in the right position to leverage it at that time because of what I'd previously done in life.
Yeah. And so, planned happenstance is... I know that I think I'm very much speaking of my own personal opinion is I really like the idea of it, but it also terrifies me. For the simple fact that you just have to have this like good faith that something will arise, and I just think you can't rely on that all the time.
Yeah, no,
I'm too neurotic for that. I believe in it, and I do to the best of my ability to go with that. I sure as heck do not have a plan for even next year. I don't run on that kind of stuff, but I do like to have an idea of where I want to go.
How does that make you feel?
Well, no, that's different. You already know. That's different. It's different. Mature.
But no, it is interesting, and just like trying to think like, I actually heard an interesting thing. I was talking to this guy.
Shall not be named.
Yeah, shall not be named. Smart dude. And he was like, what a lot of people do in life is think about like the specifics of the next step they want to take in life.
Yeah.
But his argument was that you should think about where you want to be in like 5 or 10 years, not in specific terms, but in like these vague specific terms. So not like I want to be like a, brand manager at Deloitte. Deloitte doesn't have brand managers. That's a terrible. I want to be a brand manager at Cadbury, and instead, but like being like I want to be like in a job that I enjoy that pays so much in 10 years. I want to have.
That's kind of what I run off.
And then kind of reverse enginering that a bit, and then you can kind of leverage if you're on the right track, or if you need to do something. So say you want to. You want to become a brand manager if you have like no business experience, maybe like moving into a business or studying marketing. You can kind of see those things, but a lot of people only think one step in advance. And I think school kind of does encourage you to do that, like 1 or 2 steps, rather than thinking 4 or 5 steps, but not like they don't have to be inherently linked. Yeah,
allowing yourself organic growth between that. I think you don't need to have a 5-year plan that's like, I want to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this. And the reason for that is as soon as one thing goes wrong, the whole thing goes to hell. And for a lot of people, that's really crushing. And so it's one of those things, the more rigid you set yourself up, the harder it is to come back from that if it doesn't come to fruition. Because you have like no...
Yeah, and it's also interesting, especially thinking in 5-year terms, because 5 years is a bit more easier to wrap your head around than 10 years. If you think about where you want to be in 5 years, and you're realistic, like optimistic, but realistic, often you find you can achieve those in like 4 or 3 years. It's quite interesting. I need to actually see him again.
Okay.
Reasons unrelated to this.
So I am going to find on IG because we popped a question on. So
I don't know what the question was.
The question was, do you know what you want to do in 1 year, 5 years, and do you feel like you need to know? And we've got we got a few responses considering I put this up super late. And so we've had some people say no, and it's okay not to know because as we grow, we find new interests. You basically summed up this whole episode in a sentence. Thank you.
Some people get bored of like looking at the same thing again. Which
what do you mean?
So like some people, so like there's nothing wrong with like having your interest change, but like in saying that there's also like value in like understanding a lot about a certain thing. Yeah. But like some people like never get to that stage.
Well, like mastery.
Mastery is kind of like the end goal. I'm thinking more like in between like starting something and attaining mastery. I feel like that's like a 10-year process.
Right.
But like in getting to there, I don't know, there's this cool thing about like instead of like trying to like learn new things all the time, like learning one like really niche skill within a certain thing is actually like really valuable. And it's those collections that make you really understand
for sure.
the craft.
Cool. So we've had other people say, yes, I feel like I do, but I don't. So you feel like you should have a plan, but you don't have one.
Yeah. 1 year it's good to have like some idea of what you want to do.
Even if it's just to
5
get through
years.
the school year, honestly.
5 years,
just
like,
not drop out.
Don't think of it as a plan. Like, think of it as, like, think where do I want to be in 5 years? Like, like what kind of job do I want to have? Thinking about your personal life is also like valuable. Like, like,
because I think with that as well is it's like, do you want to go traveling? Do you want to, you know, do this, that, on the other? And you might find that a few of the things you want to do contradict themselves. And what I mean by that is, you know, say you say to yourself, I want to go traveling, but I also want to really focus on building a career. It's like if you go away for traveling for a year, that sets that back by a year. And if that's a real priority for you, then they kind of... I don't know.
And like just no, like being able to work those things out. And like work out like, do I want to in 5 years? Say if you're in year 13, say 5 years. You like say you want to start a family in like 5 years.
Okay.
Let's just roll with that.
All right.
Like that's something to like keep in mind now, like in your relationships or whatever. Like, is this someone I could see myself being with 5 years? No, like seriously, because like sometimes like
if that's a priority to you, then that should be something that you're considering.
Yeah,
for sure.
Like
I keep
if you want to if you want to have enough money to put a deposit on a house in 5 years, should you be going to university or should you get a job?
Exactly. No, that is a very fair point, because the things that you want to achieve, when you do break it down, it kind of does tell you the kind of actions that you should be taking if you do want to pursue that. For sure. I just read one that I thought was quite good, is no, but I feel like I should for when I'm choosing subjects and when family keeps asking. Oh, I hate it when family asks me, so what do you want to do? It's like, honestly, get through the day, Sandra. Like, I just want to get through the day.
I've started getting actually it's changed a little bit now. I went through a phase where I knew what I wanted to do, but I had just a textbook response to this question that wasn't accurate. But
what was your textbook response?
My textbook response was that I think it was that I wanted to just be like a marketing manager or like a marketing.
Do you know what I actually? Can we just talk about this for a hot moment?
It was just an easier answer than the actual answer.
Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't have further questions associated.
No, but like, can we just talk about for a moment, whenever your family asks, what do you want to do? They're always so career focused, like as though that's the only thing that defines you as you grow up. That's so interesting. Like genuinely, like rather than like, you know, what do you want to achieve, or do you want to go traveling or something like that? It's like, what do you want to do to make money so you can support this capitalist society that we're within? We love capitalism.
I love my
double
insulated water bottle.
I low-key think that a bunch of like study timers actually think we just like occasionally pump out like communist propaganda,
Yeah, probably.
I mean, we don't.
We don't, yeah.
We're just...
Yeah. It's actually, I don't know, politics is real fascinating at the moment. I don't know.
Interesting.
I just find you just get like more, I don't know, people talk alt-right a lot. And that's like definitely a thing, and that's like definitely concerning. But you also get like a lot of you get like some extreme views on both sides these days, which is not meant to contrast with when I say extreme views on both sides, I'm not trying to pull a Donald Trump and be like, yes, Nazis are all as equally bad people as Charlottesville.
Moving on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's one thing that I've started doing when people ask me what I want to do when I grow up. I turn around and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? I've said it to my grandma, don't worry about it. I don't know, I just think it's such a space filler question. Like, it's the question you ask your friend or like your family that you don't really know well enough to hold a conversation with. So you ask, like, you might as well be asking me what the weather is. You know what I mean? Like, you don't actually care about the answer that I give you.
Yeah, I think sometimes I do.
I feel like if they really cared, they would want to know like the kind of person I want to be rather than the kind of job I want to pursue.
Yeah, but it's a harder question.
I mean, yeah, but like, because it's an easier question, it then does categorize itself in the same realm as what's the weather like?
What are you going to ask?
What do you mean, what am I going to ask?
What's the alternate question?
What do you want to do when you grow up? I just think like, you know, Okay, give me a moment. Like, I'm thinking about the best way to phrase it. Like, I just think...
Conflict.
Not like a, what do you want to do when you graduate? Or something like that. Or like, oh, no, this is the one that really irks me is, so what jobs can you get with your degree?
Great question. What jobs do you get with your degree?
Honestly, what jobs do you get with your degree?
I could get into some random college grad program.
Well done.
I could be some random policy analyst.
Okay, I do just want to say, like...
That's about it?
In the exact same way that high school does a disservice with letting people know with what kind of jobs and stuff are out there, there are so many adults that also don't know the kinds of jobs and stuff that are out there. And so if I turn around and say to someone, oh, I could be interested in organizational psychology or environmental psychology, it's just like they don't even know what that is. Like, and that just makes it even more of a null and void question.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's just frustrating. I just hate the question. It's just asked just so often.
I feel like we need to get you some therapy.
I'll therapy myself because I'm a psychologist. I'm
Yeah,
not.
I don't think that's how it works.
I'll sit down in front of a mirror and just have a very hard word to myself. Okay, next question. No, I've got a general plan, but I guess I'll just go with it, lol. I like that. I think, yes. Yeah. I think general is good though. Like, being too specific is just like much harder to fall from, you know? I have a fair idea of the things I'd enjoy doing, but not a set plan. And no, I don't. Oh, no, I think it's totally fine that I don't have a plan. And that's good. That's
I agree with that. I think it's, I don't think having a plan per se is important, but I think it is very valuable to have like an idea of like the kinds of things you would be interested in doing.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of like know like what are some of the possible ways of getting to that point.
Yeah.
It's about like, not having like a linear plan, but like having goals you can kind of work towards.
Yeah. Somebody else said, I have no clue and I feel like I'm pressured to know and it stresses me out. And I think that can come from both like high school and family. And I don't think family intends to do it. I think it is, again, because it's just a generic question that people don't really care about the answers that you give. So it's just a space filler question as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the kind of question that I get from disengaged family members that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. I don't know.
I hope nobody on the comments is just like, is Mackenzie's family okay? Like, because that's like not the case. By the way.
It is. I'm trying to like do like a psychoanalysis of the possible intention. I think it's more than like a space filler, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. I think there's like a, I don't know.
I think they expect conversation off the back of it.
Yeah.
And so for some degrees and stuff like that, it might be a lot easier. But for me, for example, if I turn around and say, well, I got a Bachelor of Arts with criminology and psychology, the immediate thing is like, what's criminology and what can you do with that? And then the following question is, so you want to be a cop?
You can be a cop.
I would rather, I'm not going to say that, I would rather stick a melon baller in my eyeball than be a cop. No offense to anyone that wants to be a cop, that's just like not my jam.
Wow, I love the police.
You work for the police.
Love police. Police are great. 10-5, great phone number.
I don't know, I think, I don't know, it's so like, I just think the careers system at high schools, it's just so laughable, essentially. Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard somebody say, yeah, the careers system at my school works really well and informs me real good.
Careers. I'm not
You actually did?
We actually had a really good careers guy.
Oh, okay. No, that's good.
But I know it's definitely like an exception.
But I think with it, like, in thinking back to my high school, the careers woman at my high school, she was absolutely lovely. She was a lovely, lovely, wonderful woman. But like in a high school of like 800 people, having one person do that job is like just not enough.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of it is to do with there's not enough emphasis put on it, and there's not enough time spent on it. And the exact same way that students say, you know, they don't feel as though school teaches them.
Can we talk about taxes?
Oh, did you not do the thing with Jordan?
We did, but I want to put it in here anyway.
Okay, just can everyone stop asking us how to calculate taxes? Because we don't know, because we don't need to know.
If you're like a normal employee, like 95% of New Zealanders, taxes automatically get deducted from your pay. You don't have to worry about it.
It's America that you guys are thinking of.
Yeah. So, yeah, in New Zealand, like when you get paid from your like employee-based job, you get your taxes automatically deducted. That like $70 that comes in your account, that's 100% yours.
Yep.
In May, the IRD does some maths, and if you pay too much taxes, they'll give you some money back. And if you didn't pay enough taxes,
then
usually
you avoid
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's easily avoided. Just don't look into it.
Just don't look into it.
Yeah.
You heard it here first, folks. Tax evasion.
Only if you're. It's usually like 30. It's literally like when they like miscalculate like PAYE taxes. It's literally like $30.
Oh, that is not what some people in the past have received. My mum got like a $600 one.
Oh, okay. That probably means you had like a wrong tax code or something.
No, it was the workplaces. Cock up.
Yeah. Okay, that's also possible.
But, yeah, and
generally speaking, unless you're self-employed or want to like start your own business, not something you worry about.
Yeah.
Also, if you are self-employed or want to start your own business, it's actually not that hard. You can like learn everything you need to know about both of those things in like 2 hours on the internet.
I think a lot of people are under the impression that we're like America. And so in America, they don't put their GST on their price tags for anything. So you could see the price of a shirt.
Tax. Yeah.
You could see the price of a shirt, and then you go up to the counter and it actually costs more than that because they even put the tax on.
Yeah.
God knows why. And then you have to calculate your own tax at the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah. At state level and federal level.
Yeah. So in New Zealand, we're smart and we know that we don't want to do that, so the government does it for us.
Yeah.
We just don't have to care about it.
Yeah.
And it's very fun and fresh. And yeah, that's what your PAYE is.
Yeah, if you look
Pay as you earn.
Yeah. If you look at your payslip and there's money that's like PAYE, that's like tax. But it's like automatically done.
My payslip is so sad because it's PAYE,
Kiwis.
student loan, KiwiSaver,
Student
all
loan,
gets deducted.
yeah.
And it's like, bye.
I'm really, I don't know. Student loan is interesting.
I mean, like, it's money I owe, so it's like, I can't complain about it that much, but it's still, like, not fun to see it come out of your account every week.
Fact as well. Student loan, you don't have to worry about paying it back.
That's also done automatically.
Provided you live in, you stay living in New Zealand, it's paid automatically.
Yeah.
If you go overseas for more than 6 months, then you have to pay.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
Or you can just never return to New Zealand.
But, I mean, yeah, if you...
Also an option.
Like, if you wanted to know about taxes, like, you 100% could, but it's actually not a necessity.
Yeah. If the people who need to know...
No.
And
if you want to know,
and if you
that
want
would
to
probably
know,
be something you'd end up learning at, like, university.
Yeah, it's not that hard for most people.
Yeah.
Even self-employed people, it's actually not that hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of that boils down to the fact that, like, probably a lot of our viewership haven't yet had a job.
Yeah.
So they don't know that.
Yeah. When you have a job, payslip, so say your rate is $20, like you get.
Sarah pulls out his payslip, like, here it is.
It's my rate. But no. So you pay $20, you work 10 hours, so that's $200. You'll get like $170 in your account because you'll have a deduction for PAYE, which is tax. If you're signed up to KiwiSaver, you'll have a deduction for that as well. And if you are casual, you might get holiday pay, but we won't go into that.
Oh my God. This has turned from like you don't need to know your life plan into a tax.
Everything about life.
Yeah. Essentially, I think like it's okay not to know what you want to do, whether that be a job, whether that be things that you want to do later in life, like traveling, whether that be like having a family, whether like you don't have to know.
Yeah.
And even if you decide later on down the track that there is something that you want to pursue, there is nothing that says that you can't do it. Like, I don't know if this is a commonly known fact, but UE is only needed if you're under 21 years old.
It's not actually very commonly known. I don't think most people know this.
So if you're over 21, was it 21 or 22?
It's around there.
21 or 22, you don't need UE to go to university.
Yeah.
UE is only something that you need
So if you don't get
if you're
UE,
coming like straight out of high school.
if you don't get UE and you like
Just wait
work
it out,
for 2 or
son.
3 years, like after that you can still go to university. You don't have to like go back to school.
Yeah.
You can just go straight to university. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys? Yeah, and that's not commonly advertised.
Yeah.
And you know, if you find out that there was a course that you want to take and there was a prerequisite for like, I don't know, like level 3 physics or something like that, and you didn't take level 3 physics, or you failed one of your externals that is required or something like that, you can take what's called a bridging course. And what this is like 6 weeks before your courses starts. It would probably be around like at university, and like January or February, before the full semester or trimester actually starts, you take a course that basically brings you up to speed before you go into the course.
Yeah.
And like, of course, you have to pay for that, but it's
You don't
not
have to pay the student loan for like the next 10 years.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also like, it's not a closed door.
Yeah.
If you find out that there's something that you want to do and you haven't done all the things that our NCEA overlord dictated, like, it's okay. That was kind of actually no, there was one like DM we actually had.
Oh, I love a DM.
That was it was a bit longer, which is why it wasn't in our usual responses. But I thought it was really good, and it kind of again just sums up a lot of what we've kind of talked about today.
Yeah.
And so it's from someone called Lily, and she said, the world is forever changing, and with it are jobs, opportunities, and attitudes. Possessing the expectation that we will be the same in 5 years as we are now is naive and ridiculous, considering how significantly different aspects of our culture are to even 6 months ago. And I think that is so true, because again, if we talk about like this idea of an organic society, what is built in that is a lot more jobs and a lot more specialization of jobs. A really good example of it is you are not a worker at Subway, you're a sandwich artist. And
I
like,
feel like that's pushing the limits of it, but yes.
I know, it's just a funny example.
Yeah, I know, it's an amusing example. You know they do paninis now at Subway?
Wow. I
ciabatta
do.
bread. And it's like, supposedly it's like 9 inches. It's like in between.
Paninis slap. I like a good panini.
I want to try one, but yeah.
You've already been to Subway once today. Oh no, was it Deluxe that you got the cookie from?
No, cookie was from Courtney Place Bakery. Next to Subway.
I see.
But yeah. I also went to Subway today.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Got the toasty?
Yeah. Classic.
Cheese?
Yeah.
Garlic?
Yeah.
You're an animal.
Why would you get any of the other toasties?
Because it's like, what's the time?
I literally make a toasty at home sometimes at like 8:30 or 8 a.m.
It's just the most bizarre breakfast.
It's got your proteins.
I just feel weird eating cheese
got your
at
veg.
breakfast.
I love cheese. Cheese is great. Cheese is love. Cheese is life.
That's why he's wearing a yellow shirt today, guys. It's actually cheese propaganda.
It's actually, I work for Big Cheese.
Oh, let's end the episode there. Okay, well, I mean, this is, did you have any sort of like last thoughts on this at all?
Yeah, I just reckon like, it's good, like, don't completely live in the like mysterious world that like, I don't need to think anything about what I want to do in my life and it will just magically work out. But like, also don't think that like the next thing you do, like choosing your degree, choosing your subjects is going to dictate your entire life, because that's not true either.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like have a plan, but
There's
relax
a happy balance.
and just
There's
take.
a happy balance.
Yeah, take. Just like relax and like it'll change, but it'll be like cool.
Just ride the wave, man.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, thank you guys for watching and or listening. If there were any parts of this episode that particularly stood out to you at all, feel free to leave us like a timestamp comment.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. We will
Don't
see
rely
you.
on Plan B.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.